Welcome to the April 26, 2022 Zoning Board of Appeals meeting of the Town of Raymond. The Zoning Board of Appeals will come to order. The board does have a quorum. I'm now going to do a roll call. I will start. David Murch.
Tom Hennessy.
Greg Dean.
Fred Mello.
This is a public proceeding, and unless the board specifically votes to go into executive session, you have the right to hear everything that is being said and to look at all the exhibits that are presented. Please notify the chair if you are unable to see or hear. The board works from a published agenda and will be considering tonight's items in the following order. Number 1, call to order. Number 2, approval of minutes of the March 29, 2022 meeting. Number 3, old business, all items tabled from March 29, 2022. Our list is number 1, administrative appeal, read notice of violation issued 12/16/2021. Applicant Leah B. Ration, Esquire, on behalf of Management Controls LLC, location 18 Fernwood Road, Mat Lot Block 01022, Zone LRR2, description administrative appeal from notice of violation. Item number 2, administrative appeal notice of violation issued 1/4/2022. Applicant Leah B. Ration, Esquire, on behalf of Q-Team Inc., location 18 Fernwood Road, map lot 122, zone LRR2, description administrative appeal from notice of violation. Item number 3, administrative appeal notice of violation issued 1/28/2022. Applicant Leah B. Ration, Esquire, on behalf of Management Control LLC, location 28 Whitetail Lane, map lot 001020, zone LRR2, description administrative appeal from notice of violation. Item number 4, administrative appeal notice of violation issued 12/28/2021. Applicant Durant Excavating, location 18 Fernwood Road, map lot 001022, zone LRR2, description administrative appeal from notice of violation. Item number 5, administrative appeal notice of violation issued 1/28/2022. Applicant Durant Excavating, location 28 Whitetail Lane, map lot 001020, zone LRR2, description administrative appeal from notice of violation. Next item of the agenda, number 4, new business. Applicant Melissa Sargent, location 11 Tarkland Hill Road, map lot 011032, zone R, description setback reduction. Item 5 on our agenda, code enforcement officer communications, and then finally adjournment. In each instance, the burden is upon the applicant to demonstrate compliance with the provisions of the applicable ordinances or state law. After the board votes on the merits of each application, it will prepare a written notice of decision. Because the notice of decision may substantially affect any appeals rights, and also as a matter of courtesy, the board asks that those attending the meeting with regards to a specific application not leave until the board has completed its discussion. Generally speaking, appeals from adverse decisions must be filed with Superior Court, so otherwise provided by law, within 45 days of this board's decision. Also, to be certain that you preserve your individual rights to file such an appeal, you must be certain that the board's records evidences your appearance this evening in opposition and the basis for your opposition. All persons speaking, including representatives of the applicant and members of the public, are asked to state their name, address, and affiliation for the application, being either for, opposed, or neutral. All persons speaking shall address all remarks or questions to the chair. This meeting is not over until the board has formally adjourned. Any discussion not included on the meeting agenda or accepted by the board is to be held until after adjournment or conducted outside the meeting room. So next on our agenda is approval of minutes of March 29, 2022 meeting. I did not receive copies of those. Did any of my fellow board members receive a copy?
I didn't.
I did not.
And Tom, I guess.
The draft minutes, is that the question?
Yeah, correct. Did you not? We can see you too.
Yeah, I did get them from Sandy.
Okay, so 3 of us did not.
So push them off till next month and I'll make sure that they all get out to you.
That sounds good. Can I get a motion to table this until our next meeting?
So moved.
I'll second. I have to do roll call vote. All in favor of tabling this until our next meeting? David Murch says yes.
Tom Hennessy, yes.
Greg Dean, yes.
Fred, yes.
Okay, very good. Greg, I believe you had something you wanted to bring up before we moved on to old business.
Yeah, I wanted to make a motion to have an executive session with Councilor Wagner.
Okay, do we need a motion for that?
You do need, so this is Attorney Wagner, you do need a motion, and I would ask that the motion both cite the statute, which is 1 MRS 405 6E, I believe. Let me just double check myself. Yeah. So a motion to enter into executive session pursuant to 1 MRS 405 6E to discuss the duties and responsibilities of the board with board's counsel.
Can I just say so moved, or would you like me to?
No, that works. Okay. So moved works for me. Then you need a second and any discussion.
I will second that. Do we have any discussion on this? I'll say, so we'll go ahead and do a roll call vote to move into executive session. David Murch, yes, I approve of that.
Tom Hennessy,
Greg
yes.
Dean.
Tom Hennessy, yes.
Sorry.
Fred, yes.
Greg Dean, yes.
Okay, so we will break into executive session. It was for a while there in executive session. We broke out during our executive session. We had a discussion with regards to procedure when it comes to our meetings, specifically in terms of length of meeting. We found it to be advisable amongst us to come up with at least some draft verbiage with regards to bylaw changes in terms of time limits with regards to our meeting. Sandy, this is something that we will nominate somebody on our board to come up with those changes per our own bylaws. We are able to modify them under certain requirements. I will have to review those. I would suggest you review them too, but I believe once those are sort of written up, they have to be circulated amongst the board members, and I believe a certain timing of when those will be discussed, we'll have to make it onto an agenda. So, but with that said, I would like to make a motion that Greg Dean come up at least with a first pass with regards to a bylaw change that establishes time limits with regards to ZBA meetings. Can I get a second on that?
I'll second it, Tom.
I'll second it.
All right, so any further discussion on this? See, Alex?
Yeah, I just want to say the planning board does have a very similar thing in their bylaws. I believe they have a 10 o'clock cutoff time. So, you know, we would support that since, you know, the other boards also have something in place.
Yeah, and that's good. We'll use that, or at least I will recommend for Greg to use that as a basis for our own modifications. Any further discussion? So we'll do a roll call vote. All those in favor of having Greg look into those bylaw changes, in favor? David Murch, yes. Fred, in favor?
Yes.
Tom, in favor?
Tom in favor.
Can't hear you, Tom.
Tom in favor.
I need to hear you.
Yes, yes.
Can't take that. Our bylaw, our own remote participation says I need to hear you. There we go.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, yes.
Excellent. Greg?
In favor.
All right, so unanimous on that one. So moving on to old business, we have a number of tabled items, all specific to notices of violation for properties on 18 Fernwood Road, as well as 28 Whitetail Lane. On April 14th, 2022, I did receive an email, which also made it to our ZBA members as well as representation for the other applicants. So this came from Eric Wyckoff on April 14th. I'm going to go just ahead and read it as worded. Dear Chairman Murch, you'll recall from the hearing that the Zoning Board of Appeals held March 29, 2022. I represent the town of Raymond in connection with the notices of violation issued by the code enforcement officer relating to 18 Fernwood Road and 28 Whitetail Lane. I have copied counsel for Management Controls LLC, Q-Team Inc., and Durant Excavating LLC on this email. Each of their clients have submitted applications for administrative appeal of the notices of violation. Following the hearing, the parties have decided to engage in mediation to see if they're able to consensually resolve the notices of violation. The first available date for the parties to schedule the mediation is on May 4, 2022. Therefore, the parties respectfully request that the ZBA table any further consideration of the applications for administrative appeals relating to 18 Fernwood Road and 28 Whitetail Lane until the May meeting of the ZBA. Tabling further consideration will allow the parties the opportunity to conserve their resources, allow them to try to consensually resolve the notices of violation, and could result in further review by the ZBA being unnecessary. Neither I nor counsel for the other parties intend to attend the April 26, 2022 meeting of the ZBA. Thank you for your attention to this, and let the parties know if you have any questions. Kind regards, Eric. Sandy then sent out an email. Sandy Fredericks, administrative assistant for the ZBA, on April 20, sent out an email. Said, good morning, we received an email from Mr. Wyckoff dated 4/14/2022, for which you are all copied. This includes the council as well as ZBA members. Regarding the above matters scheduled for the ZBA meeting on April 26, advising all council had agreed on attending mediation on May 4, 2022, and no parties will be appearing on April 26. Kindly confirm your agreement so the board is fully advised as to the status of these appeals. To that end, we received an email from Gregory Braun dated 4/20 stating, yes, on behalf of Big Lake and Durant Excavating, we are in agreement that as to the tabling of the appeals to a later date. We also received a response from Leah B. Ratchen on April 20th. Sandy, Management Controls LLC and Q-Team Inc. are also in favor of tabling the appeals pending mediation. Thank you, Leah. We also then had a follow-up email from attorney Stephen Wagner, who's helping out the ZBA board. He says, thank you for confirming. This also came on April 20th. Thank you for confirming the positions of the parties, Sandy. I will also take this opportunity to disclose that in anticipation of this request. I advise the chair that so long as all parties join the request, then it is my opinion that temporarily tabling the matter at this juncture is procedurally valid, and I will recommend that the board grant the request. I also advise that this decision is ultimately up to the board and must be made in open session on the 26th. So that is out there. I'm gonna, Attorney Wagner, if there's anything additional you want to add to that, please feel free. If not, we will go ahead and continue on with this. I see you shaking your head. So board members, we've been requested by all parties in regards to these, all matters of old business, 5 applications, all 5 relating to 2 different applicants, 3 different businesses. All are in agreement that they would like to have these matters tabled, continue to be tabled. Our own attorney is advising that that would be appropriate as well, but it is ultimately our decision as to whether we do this. I'm going to open it up for discussion. My own opinion is that if there's a chance for mediation and there's a chance for sides to work this out without having to go through us, I would welcome that. And in addition, given that no one is here to represent these sides, it would be difficult to make a good decision with regards to notices of violation. So I open it up. Greg, Fred, Tom?
I'll take a stab at it. I generally agree. I think if there's an opportunity that both parties want to work to come up with a resolution outside of us deciding one for them, I welcome that as well.
I agree with that too, that they should have the time to try to work it out.
Okay. Tom?
I'm in support of letting the lawyers do their jobs and see if they can mediate the thing. I just have a question for either Alex or our attorney. When the mediation is resolved, hopefully, will the ZBA see it and approve it, or is it just, what's the process?
So I can take a stab on that. That's really going to depend on how the parties resolve the matter. Regardless, I would expect that the parties will provide an update of some kind to the board, and presumably they'll do that soon after the mediation concludes. And I guess I'll add, regardless, procedurally, the board will need to do something with the appeals, but that'll be dictated by the results of the mediation and what the parties request.
Thank you.
So I'm assuming, well, I have to ask a procedural question. Typically, if we wanted to move on to old business, we would make a motion to untable something that had been put on the table. Since something is already on a table, is there any need to make any sort of motion? Or do we just, do we need to make a motion to continue to keep these items tabled? I'm not sure procedurally what's the appropriate thing to do here.
I would advise that you make a motion to grant the parties' request to table the 5 appeals listed on the agenda pertaining to 18 and 24, 18 Fernwood and 28 White. What's the street address?
Whitetail Lane.
Whitetail Lane. Table those to the next regularly scheduled meeting.
Okay, I like how that was worded, except for the Whitetail Lane parts, but I'm gonna say so moved. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Okay, I'll do a roll call vote. So all in favor of continuing to keep these items tabled until our next May meeting? In favor, David Murch, yes. Fred?
Yes.
Craig?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Very good. All that's unanimous approval to keep these items tabled. Attorney Wagner, we did receive a draft decision for you regarding notice of violation for 19 Fernwood Road, the one that we discussed at our last meeting. Given that that particular item is tabled, I'm assuming that this item is not applicable for our meeting tonight.
I would agree. You should take it up when we take these matters up again. However, board members can certainly reach out to me, and I would copy Sandy as well with any comments. I can certainly work on, get a head start on incorporating any board comments, corrections, revisions on that draft, and then present a revised draft incorporating or adding those comments for when the board takes this up again.
Very good. So before I move on to new business, my ZBA members, do you have any further questions regarding any of this to discuss or bring up with Attorney Wagner?
I do.
All right. I'm all good too. So,
Chairman,
yes,
do you need me for the rest of the evening?
we do not. Please feel free to leave and have yourself a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you for your help. Good night. So moving on our agenda, new business, applicant Melissa Sargent. Location 11 Tarpon Hill Road, map lot 032, zone R. Description setback reduction. So I do see that Melissa is here. Before Melissa, we move on. Well, typically our approach to this is we will give you time, Melissa, to let us know about your request. Then we'll take some time to ask, the board will, to ask you some questions. Then we'll also open this up for public comment. If anybody for, opposed, or neutral can have a chance to discuss this as well. Then we'll close out all comments and then go ahead and move forward with reviewing your application in conjunction with our ordinances. Before we move on to that though, Alex and Sandy, I just need you to be with me here. One of our questions I had was the application indicates that this property is in zone R. The survey, the boundary survey that we received indicated that this for zoning that the parcel is located within RR, so rural residential, not residential. I sent an email to Sandy on April 13th, asking the question, should it be property, the district of rural or rural residential? For Sandy, she says, I've checked with the assessing department and assessing has it listed in the records as R for rural. However, when we look at the zoning map, it falls within RR. So as for confirmation, I said for this appeal, do we go with the assessing department or the zoning map? I'm guessing the zoning map, but I want to confirm. And so Sandy has confirmed that yes, it should be the zoning map. And the zoning map is indicating that this property is rural residential. Sandy or Alex, do you have any further comment to that? If not, we're going to proceed with this property being as rural residential and not rural as indicated in the application.
Hold on one sec.
Thank you.
So I am seeing it shown as it being in the rural zone, I believe. Yes, that's what I'm seeing.
Okay, Kurt thought that it was,
Oh, you must have muted yourself. So I'm looking at the zoning map that we have, and it looks like RR, rural residential, is everything on the western side of Webb's Mills Road, and then everything on the eastern side, which is where this subdivision is all in rural, from what I can tell.
because when Kurt looked at it, he thought that it was RR, but the colors are so close that I was kind of trusting him, but
Yeah, hold on one sec. I'll. You're seeing the zoning map, right?
yep.
Yes.
So the lot that we are looking at is the, well, it's right in here. And I can actually circle it. You can see the light teal color that I just circled.
Yeah,
So that's where that lot is, and that color is the rural zone, rural district.
perfect.
Good, so that is definitely helpful. And I guess given that, yeah, I'm gonna follow up after our discussion.
So I guess to answer the question, the survey is incorrect and the application is correct.
Very good. So, okay. I guess procedurally, I'm gonna have to have some thoughts on this, but, okay, so. Give me a moment to do this here. Okay. So Melissa, if you can go ahead and just give us a quick background of what you're looking to accomplish with regards to this application request for setback reductions. I will state out loud as well that there was a site walk held on this property. Too many papers here. Okay, here we go. So site walk was held on this property on Saturday, April 16th, 2022 at 9 a.m. In attendance for applicant was the applicant herself, Melissa Sargent, and in attendance for the planning board were David Murch, Tom Hennessy, both Greg Dean and Fred Miller were unable to attend. So go ahead, Melissa, please go ahead and just let us know briefly what you're looking to accomplish with regards to the setback reduction.
Just a quick question. Is the survey that I had done incorrect?
It's my review of it. I don't know that the survey itself is incorrect. Certainly the assessment that the property is within rural residential zone is incorrect.
Okay.
The code enforcement officer has confirmed for us that it's actually in the rural,
Okay.
which will actually, and we'll have to discuss this subsequent to your own review, but the setbacks that are defined in the boundary survey do not match those which are specific to the rural zone, which is what the property is actually in.
Okay. Well, from my understanding, what I thought is that we are required to have a 30-foot setback reduction from the Tarkiln Hill Road. And then because we are on a corner lot, we are required to have a 30-foot setback reduction on the private road of Shady Lane. We are looking for a 10-foot setback reduction in order to build a garage as you're facing the property to the left side. The reason being is the right side of our property has a septic area, and the grade would be impossible to build anything. And then on the left side where we wish to build the garage, we would like the 10-foot setback reduction so we do not interfere with our well. We were also instructed by the person who, I guess, deals with Shady Lane, is that we are absolutely not allowed to have any access to that road because it is a private road. So that's why we're asking for the 10-foot setback reduction.
Okay. Very good. Gentlemen, I'm going to hold off on a minute just discussing the setbacks, but Fred or Tom or Greg, do you have any questions for our applicant?
Sorry, I have a question. What are the dimensions? Oh, it's 32 by, okay, I see it. I didn't see it there. Yeah, 32 by 48. Okay.
Correct.
And this is Tom. This is Tom. That the carport has a roof on it, I assume, right?
Yes.
So the actual dimension of the building is an additional 12 feet in width.
Yes.
Okay. And Alex, do you know, just this is a refresher for me, that what's the height limitation?
In that particular zone, it's 2.5 stories.
Okay.
Just to clarify, so the 32 doesn't include the carport? Or does include the carport?
Does not.
Okay.
Melissa, in regards to the garage, or what's the proposed use for it, the overall use for it?
It's going to be for storage and for, my vehicle, and, my significant other is a mechanic, so he has a bunch of hobbies that don't include knitting, and therefore it's a garage,
Okay,
just for his hobbies.
understood. Given that it can be 2 stories high, are you looking to introduce any sort of residential living space as part of that garage?
It is my understanding from Alex, from discussions I've had with Alex, that if we get a setback reduction, it cannot include living space. The upstairs portion will be just, the attic area will be just for plain storage.
Good. So before I turn this over to public comments, Greg or Fred or Tom, any further questions from Melissa or possibly Alex before we do that?
Yeah, I had one more question. The distance between the well and the side of the proposed structure, what is that distance? And then once, I guess, for Melissa and then for Alex, like, what is the required distance?
I can't tell you the distance unless I go out and measure right now. I apologize.
So, Greg, looking at the scale, just visually, it looks like it's like 20, 25 feet, if I were to guess. But to answer your question, we don't have a municipal requirement for a setback to a well or from a well for a structure.
Is there like a guideline on as it pertains to wells?
No, surprisingly, we actually don't really do much with wells. It's not really something the town regulates in this type of fashion, at least.
One thing we wanted to make sure when we built the garage is that if we needed to do maintenance on the well, we could get there without like taking down part of the garage.
And best estimate is 20 feet of basically access for maintenance.
Correct.
And that's the only reason. So it's not, you don't want to be too close to the well. It doesn't sound like there's a reason the structure can't be closer to the well.
It's mainly to get access.
Okay, just
if
mainly
something ever happens to the well, especially where we were advised that we are not allowed access to Shady Lane at all.
Yeah, I understand that.
Okay. Greg, are you done with questions?
Yep, sorry, I yield.
Okay, this is Tom. I just have, I guess, 2 questions. One is, based on the survey, in that one particular corner of Tarkiln and Shady, your boundary survey says that there's a radius of 25 feet. If that's the case, then that garage, that one little corner intrudes on the 20-foot even further in that particular corner, if I'm explaining that. So the garage, in order to stay at 20 feet from that particular radius, you'd have to adjust that building probably a foot or 2 closer to the house.
I see. We'd make any modifications that were necessary.
Okay. And the other thing that caused me when I looked at this was the surveyor did a nice job, except he applied the wrong graphic scale to it. So it's confusing to the initial person. It's really 1 inch equals 40 feet. So
Okay.
just, if you're gonna go have some corrections done, you might put the right scale on it. So.
Okay, so the corrections that I need to have made are the radius at the corner and then the scale being, can you repeat that?
That, down in the bottom left of the survey, there's a
Yeah.
graphic scale of 1 inch equals 20 feet.
Okay.
It's really 1 inch equals 40 feet.
Okay,
So-
got it.
So I wouldn't make any adjustments until you hear the final vote, though.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah.
Okay, I will go ahead then. Melissa, we're gonna open this up to public comments. So let's go ahead and do that. Public comment is now open. Is there anybody here tonight who would like to speak in favor of this application? Okay, is there anyone here tonight that would like to speak in opposition to this application? Finally, is there anyone here tonight that would like to speak in regards to this application, but from a neutral perspective? Okay, I will go ahead then and close public comments. Before we sort of end this part of things and then the ZBA board talk about this application, Tom, Fred, Craig, any last questions for Melissa or Alex before we sort of close out this part of the application proceeding?
I don't have anything.
I just have one comment, I guess. When we do vote on this, should we include a condition that says no living quarters, no water sewer connection to this new building?
I guess that's a good question, and we can consider as part of the list that we've got to go through. So I think, Tom, let's agree to talk about that when the time comes.
Okay.
Sounds good.
My understanding was that if we wanted to do a sewer connection or a water connection, that wouldn't be a problem. The problem would be a living arrangement where we were able to cook. That was the stipulation, is my understanding under Alex, but I guess I would defer to Alex on that.
Yeah, what she's talking about is under the setback reduction standards that you guys are going to go through. One of them is you can't create any additional dwelling units. So what she's talking about is the creation of a dwelling unit. I think you could actually do some, finished space, put a bathroom in, stuff like that, but you just can't turn it into an apartment.
Sounds good. So we'll sort of close things out now in terms of the application and the discussion of it with our applicant and with the public. So board will sort of move into our own discussion about this application. I have opened up our Town of Raymond's land use ordinances. When I'm looking in this under the rural district, which we received confirmation from Alex, is that this property is in the rural district. The actual setbacks that have been defined for this district are front setbacks are 40 feet, side setbacks are 20 feet, and rear setbacks are 20 feet. So if you're looking at the boundary survey that was provided by our applicants, please make sure to make an adjustment there, because under that boundary survey was indicated the property is in rural residential, and he's listed out the proper setbacks for rural residential, but the actual setbacks for this property in rural are 40 feet from the front, 20 feet from the side, 20 feet from the rear. So we have a slightly different setback to look at than what's defined in the boundary survey. In addition, we do, also the boundary survey is indicating that there's 3 sides of this property that are considered front. So, Alex, I know that I had emailed you, but if you can confirm for us, given this property and that it is bounded at least on 2 sides by roads, can you confirm for us how we should be looking at this? Is this a property with multiple front sides? And if not, can you, on the record, please confirm for us which side of this property should be considered the front?
Yeah, definitely. So without making it more complicated than it needs to be, the way that I would view this under our current ordinance is this lot only has a single front lot line. It has a front and it has 2 sides and it has a rear lot line. So the front line would be the side where the driveway is on Tarkle Hill Road, and then you have a sideline where Shady Lane is. I certainly wouldn't view this as having 2 front lot lines, especially considering they don't even have legal access to the Shady Lane side. You know, it is a corner lot, and we're in the process of defining corner lots and exploring further standards for corner lots, but under the current ordinance, I would say it only has 1 front.
Okay, thank you, Alex.
Yeah.
So before I go any further, board members, do we have any questions in regards to the correct setbacks and in regards to what part of this parcel is considered front and the rest side and rear? Do we have any questions? Just want to make sure we're all on board with that.
Just to clarify, maybe, I don't know, you're saying, I think, kind of combining the 2 corrections or the 2 modifications is, what we're saying is there's a 40-foot setback from Tarkle Road, which would be the front of the property, and then 20 on each side, and then what's irrelevant would be the rear. Okay, and the side would be shady, and then the opposite side. Okay.
Yep, correct.
Yep, got it.
So therefore, our setback reduction would be 20 feet for the front and none for the side, correct?
Yes, correct.
Hey, David,
So,
can you
yes,
can you excuse me for like 1 minute?
of course, yep. So what we'll do next, I know Tom will be back, he'll be quick to catch up. What we'll do is we'll do like we have always done in the past. We will review our ordinances. So again, I'll be looking at Town of Raymond's land use ordinance. I will be going to,
Sorry, David.
yep, no, go ahead.
While we're kind of in this pause, should we confirm that we want to proceed, given that even if approved, this wouldn't be enough of a setback to build the proposed structure? I don't know how we handle that in the past, but my understanding is that irrespective of how we ruled on the setback reduction requirements, that she would.
Yeah, that's a good point, Greg. We probably need to reevaluate that request. I'll go ahead, and if you want to sort of frame that out for me, as I look through our ordinances here, when Tom gets back, would you be willing to lead that part of the discussion?
Yep, absolutely.
All right, David, I'm back.
Okay, Tom. Greg's going to sort of lead our discussion here just a little bit. We have some concerns about, given that we've got some modified setbacks and the requests, we want to take, before we even go through the ordinances and review the applicability there, sort of confirm that what now is being asked of in this request, given the changes in setbacks. So Greg's going to sort of lead us through that discussion.
Yeah, so I think what I just wanted to raise and ask the applicant is and potentially avoid having to reapply, is the issue of, irrespective of the outcome of us reviewing the ordinances as we normally do, I don't believe even if we approved it, the proposed structure would be compliant. I think that there's kind of some material updates based off from what the survey has indicated and we're evaluating. So my recommendation, and want to get Fred and Tom and David's thoughts on it, is maybe we pause here, see if we want to amend the application before moving forward, and just to, that way the results might be more meaningful.
Yeah, because I agree with Greg, Melissa, because if we look at this, the original boundary survey was under the assumption that you had a 30-foot setback, when in reality you have a 20-foot setback. However, we can allow for a 20-foot setback reduction, which I think would essentially bring us back to where things are supposed to be. I guess part of if somebody can sort of review that math with me, but, and if that's the case, is this something that can be like amended on the fly?
But we also have Tom's radius.
There is that as well. Yep, you are
Need
correct.
to be accounted for.
Yep.
That's the name of that dimension now. It's Tom's radius.
Yeah.
I was a math major at one time. So.
And is there a well, I'll let you take it.
Yeah, I guess I'll put this question out there. Alex, you can sort of confirm it for us if we're sort of going down the wrong route, but I'm wondering if this is something in which we offer back to Melissa to get them on an updated boundary survey that accurately reflects the correct setbacks and setback reduction requests and takes into account this, I forgot what we call it now, but the area that Tom pointed out, or we could just potentially move forward with what's been requested and potentially sort of modify things on the fly. I'm trying to figure out how best to move forward and what's the most official to our applicant.
And and the issue, just to, I guess, kind of make it a little bit easier to understand, you guys are allowed to go down to 20 feet from the front in the rural district, but the ARC gives the impression that they'll actually be like 17 or whatever it is on the front. So that's the issue, right? Right now that they've gone beyond the 20, which is the minimum you guys can grant, so or the max you can grant. So, you know, it's a tough one because you could, I suppose, possibly review this and approve it conditioned on them updating the survey to show that the structure will comply with that 20 feet. Or you could table and have them do that and come back. I don't know if you want to ask her if, I don't know what time, you know, constraints, maybe they probably are planning on doing this year. I know surveying can kind of be a little difficult to get a hold of sometimes. So I don't know how quick it will be to get that revision made, is my only concern, but you can hear from her, I guess.
I can contact the surveyor, Bill Shippen, this week and bring him up to date on this meeting. And then I can let you know via email if we can approach this at the May meeting. If we can like table it and bring it to the May meeting with updated survey documents. If that's okay with everybody, if it's not feasible for him to be able to do that, I can also email whoever and let them know if he needs more time. He has all this saved on his computer, so I don't think this is going to be a really challenging thing to make some clicks and make it happen.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, Melissa, you would be okay with us tabling this matter until a future meeting? And at that future meeting would be an updated boundary survey for us to review?
Correct. The question, or well, one of the questions I have, is it gonna cost me another $480 to do this?
No, this would, we'd be simply tabling. So whereas it's just a continuation of what we've already started today, just we're waiting
Okay.
for additional information from you. So there's no additional fees associated with this.
And the other thing is I can certainly meet with my survey person and get copies and drop them off at the town office so that you can all have copies to look at when we come back to the May meeting.
Yeah, definitely. Any new information that comes up, please get that information to Sandy. And then from there, Sandy can distribute it to the board.
Okay.
So given what we've heard from our applicants, I would move that we table this application request from Melissa Sargent with regards to a setback reduction for 11 Tarkman Hill Road in favor of receiving an updated boundary survey. Do I have a second on that?
Seconded.
Any further discussion, gentlemen? Okay, roll call vote. Those in favor to table, David Murch, yes.
Fred Malia.
Greg?
Greg Dean, yes.
Tom Hennessy, yes.
Yes, so we will table this issue, Melissa, until our next meeting, which is towards the end of May.
With regards to that, I never got notification of this meeting except for I saw it in the paper. Can I get notification?
Yeah, Sandy, can you?
I'll email you the agenda.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you.
David, I had just one more point I wanted to just make clarification on before Melissa potentially drops. And I don't know if it matters, maybe something we could ask Alex, but the actual request for the setback is going to have to change on the front of the property, will have to change as well. So I don't know if there's any formal restatement of that request that we need to have before May as well. Unless I'm mistaken, Alex, you seem to indicate, your body language might seem to indicate I've done my math wrong, but that's all.
Yeah, I mean, I think that can be a simple email. I think you could probably just send us an email with the survey even and update that request. I think that's totally fine.
Okay.
You're all good, Melissa. Do you have any further questions with regards to how to move forward?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Who do I contact in the email?
So Sandy raised her hand, so I'm guessing Sandy.
Yeah, because then I can send it to all of you. That way we know what's gone where.
She can make sure Alex gets the information as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, oh, you're very welcome. So moving on in our agenda, Code Enforcement Officer Communications, Alex.
Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot to communicate. I just wanted to say I thought you guys did a really good job at that last meeting. And thank you for all your hard work on that. I mean, 10 years of municipal meetings, and that set the record for me. So you all came back, so I think that's good. Fred returned, which I thought for his first meeting, that was probably one of the most difficult first meetings anyone's ever had. So
Yes.
I just want to thank you guys. I don't think it's going to be the last that you deal with on these or administrative appeals in general. They're never easy. You know, being on the Zoning Board of Appeals is never easy, but I thought you guys did a great job. So that's all I got.
Okay, thank you. Sandy, do we have anything coming up on the agenda?
Oh, got lots of fun stuff coming up. A long agenda. I wanted to ask you was, do we still want to hold off on inviting the other volunteer applicants to come in till we're past these?
Yeah, so, you know.
We got two more that relate to the Fernwood and Whitetail from Braun
Okay,
on behalf of Big Lake Marine.
okay. And.
And we have some other setback reduction requests that are sitting on my desk waiting to go out to you guys too.
All right, so given all of that, so the thing is, we don't know where mediation is going to go.
Correct.
Um,
I'm
So
sure
that
that
is gonna keep getting
Greg
bigger and
Norris gonna want
bigger.
his tabled, but we have to put them on the agenda because of being an administrative appeal, we had the time frame.
right,
So I'll make sure he knows that.
and they can't just assume that items will be tabled. We can, so I'm gonna put this out there to the board is we're getting an extremely large agenda. And I'm concerned in part because we've got notices of violation that need to be reviewed, and we've already seen that those take a substantial amount of time. And then we also have residents that are just looking for setback reductions or other types of appeals or requests, I should say, of the zoning board for their own behalf. So what I don't want to do is keep having to table items due to not enough time. So I don't know if this isn't something we can answer now, but do we need to consider special sessions just to get through perhaps some of these? I don't know. I kind of put that out there for consideration, and we can see where our next agenda takes us. But I just kind of put that out there. And Sandy, we've got 4 board members right now. I'm not getting any impression at this point that anybody's looking to step down or has a need to step down.
Right, but we wanted to get a full complement of a board.
Exactly.
I'm afraid that will scare people off. We were looking
Yeah,
to scare Fred.
yeah, and I want to make sure we give them enough time as well to fit them in. So again, it comes back to that sort of
Right.
extremely long agenda.
So we'll keep that in abeyance until we have a normal agenda again?
Yeah, I'll put this out there to Tom and Fred and Greg. You know, your thoughts. I recognize that every day is full of challenges and that at this point you are looking to stay on the ZBA and at some point you may need to step off, but is there anybody at this point considering stepping down from the ZBA in the immediate future? Because if so, and I'm okay with that, but if so, we need to get the positions filled more quickly than less quickly. But not to put anybody in the spot, but is anybody looking to step down from ZBA in the near future? I am not, but,
I'm not either.
okay,
Yeah, I don't intend to.
okay.
No, I'm good, but I
Okay.
do understand splitting these meetings up might be helpful, so.
Yeah, I agree
To
too.
comment on that, I'm generally supportive of that as well. If we need to have some special scheduling to work to prevent the ever-growing backlog,
Is
I'd be supportive of that.
Is it possible, I don't know, Sandy or Alex, that we split up and do like a 4-hour session for new business, you know, the applicants that want, you know, their reductions or whatever, and then the other main session, get back to these NOVs and things? Is there a way to divide and conquer?
Alex, you have a take on that?
I don't think so. I think you're really supposed to take it in order, which, you know, can be kind of challenging. But one of the things, you know, just, oh, we lost someone. Just speaking generally, you know, the way, in a perfect scenario, the way this situation we're dealing with Fernwood and Whitetail, the way it would resolve in an ideal situation would be a consent agreement with the town and the property owner. and the contractor. And basically that consent agreement could come from mediation. And part of that consent agreement there could be a line in there that basically says they'll withdraw all of the appeals. That would be the ideal scenario. So there's a possibility you guys won't even see those, but we can't really plan for that. So, because it could go the other way too. So I would say if you guys are considering a special, a second meeting in May, which I think would probably be a good idea, you probably would want to have probably everything be on the agenda. I think you guys can take stuff out of order if you guys vote to do that, but we might want to just check with the attorney on that. I'm pretty sure you can though, if that's the case, because I've seen it happen before where maybe someone's running late and they take a second item instead of the first item. So, I mean, we can check on that.
Okay, and I guess when we've had applicants and we've interviewed them, I didn't necessarily see them under old business or new business. I'm curious, can we just have like a special meeting to just quickly interview two new applicants? Does anybody have any thoughts on that? Because the way it looks is we're probably not going to get to them for another 2-3 months. And it would be nice to have some people available to ensure we have a quorum at all times.
I think that makes a lot of sense, David.
Okay. Let me do this. Let me send an email to Sandy and I'll include all of us and just sort of bring up that topic of having a special meeting with regards to only interviewing applicants for the ZBA, see where that takes us. So I get that sent out this week. All right. So has anybody else got anything before we wrap up tonight? Sounds quiet. So I'm making a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Seconded.
All right. All in favor? David, yes.
Right, yeah.
Greg, yes.
Tom, yes.
All right. Good night, everyone.
All right. See ya.